In the mid-1980s, a former Navy officer, referred to only as Brian S., shared a first-hand account of high strangeness from his deployment to Antarctica during a chilling and extraordinary interview with investigative journalist Linda Moulton Howe.
Last remaining territory on the planet that could have such a designation is Antarctica.
His testimony, chronicling a period of service from 1984 to 1987, detailed a disturbing pattern of events and sightings. These were not random occurrences, but a series of profound experiences that, if validated...
At the time I was working on our control desk, and the person who arranges the trip phoned up to speak to the flight sergeant asking for volunteers.
...would completely dismantle the official, sanitized narrative that has been presented to the public about the frozen continent. As a C-130 crew member, Brian's official mission was supply and transport. Unofficially, his crew became regular witnesses to the impossible. He claims they repeatedly observed silent, silver discs maneuvering through the polar skies, performing aerobatics that exceeded known aviation performance. These were not fleeting glimpses. The objects moved with clear, intelligent control over the ice. Then, a sudden storm during a routine mission forced their plane off its designated course. The new flight path took them dangerously close to a mountain range the crew knew only as a forbidden, no-fly zone. It was in this restricted airspace, while turning back to safety, that Brian witnessed something that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Around midnight, airborne and facing a critical time constraint for the medevac, a discussion took place among the flight crew. The aircraft's captain queried the navigator about the feasibility of traversing the no-fly zone to establish a more direct route to Davis Station, a maneuver that would save considerable time. The crew collectively decided to violate the standing order, opting to fly directly over the restricted area, rather than executing the prescribed 20-mile deviation. Their aircraft, a C-130, had departed from the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station, where the effective altitude is approximately 11,000 to 12,000 feet due to the thick ice sheet. With a full fuel load, the aircraft began its ascent toward an initial cruising altitude of 25,000 feet. The flight plan involved a stepped climb profile. As the aircraft consumed fuel and became lighter, it would ascend to higher altitudes to optimize engine performance and extend its operational range. Approximately 5 to 10 miles out from the South Pole Station, while climbing through an altitude of roughly 20,000 to 21,000 feet, a crew member looking out a side window rather than at his instruments made a visual observation. He reported a large, dark anomaly on the ice below, located precisely where the supposed air sampling station was marked on their charts. The crew adjusted their heading to fly on a slightly offset track, allowing for a clear view from the left side of the aircraft at a 45-degree downward angle. What they observed was not an air sampling facility. Instead, embedded in the ice was a massive, large opening, roughly football field-sized, with a ramp-like descent. Brian estimated its diameter to be roughly the size of a football field, certainly large enough to accommodate the 138-foot wingspan of their C-130 aircraft. The lighting conditions were favorable for observation. The sun was positioned off to their left, casting shadows that provided a sense of depth and structure to the feature. The sunlight illuminated the top edge of the opening, revealing what appeared to be a structured ramp descending from the plateau down into the dark interior. It appeared structured rather than natural. Its geometry and the presence of a smooth, graded entrance suggested artificial construction. More disturbingly, Brian and the crew witnessed movement below. Vehicles and humanoid figures were observed operating in and out of the vast entrance. The nature of these figures could not be precisely determined from their altitude, but Brian was left with the distinct and unsettling impression that the facility was a shared installation, operated by both human and non-human entities. Upon the C-130's return to its home station, the entire crew was immediately sequestered for a debriefing with superior officers. The tone of the meeting was not one of inquiry, but of instruction. They were told in unequivocal terms, "You did not see what you think you saw." The command was delivered with an unmistakable undertone of threat, a clear warning that any discussion of the event would have severe career and personal consequences. Understanding the gravity of the order, the crew complied. The incident was officially erased, never to be spoken of again. The strategic implication was clear. A highly sensitive, clandestine operation was underway in the no-fly zone, and its secrecy was being enforced through direct military intimidation. This incident was compounded by another deeply unsettling event that occurred during Brian's deployment. A team of 15 scientists stationed at a remote outpost vanished without a trace. For 2 full weeks, all communications with their base went silent. No distress signals were received, and search operations yielded no results. Then, as mysteriously as they had disappeared, they reappeared. The scientists were physically present, but according to Brian's account, they were psychologically altered, silent, distant, and visibly traumatized. Immediately upon their return, military personnel descended on their outpost. All of the scientists' equipment, research data, and personal effects were confiscated and quarantined. No official explanation was ever provided for their disappearance, their altered state, or the seizure of their materials. Any and all inquiries were met with administrative stonewalling. Among the personnel stationed in Antarctica, rampant speculation filled the information vacuum. The most persistent rumor was that the scientists had been taken into a subterranean structure, perhaps the very same facility Brian's crew had inadvertently overflown. This theory suggested they had witnessed something so profound or terrifying that it had left them permanently disturbed. Brian's testimony does not exist in isolation. It forms part of a larger, consistent narrative compiled over decades from other whistleblowers connected to Antarctic operations. Engineers, pilots, scientists, and contractors have intermittently come forward with similar accounts of anomalous structures buried beneath the ice, strange electromagnetic phenomena, and unidentified craft. These accounts have fueled a persistent theory that the 1959 Antarctic Treaty, which demilitarizes the continent and dedicates it to scientific research, serves as a convenient diplomatic cover for a multinational agreement to conceal a reality of profound significance. Brian himself stated his belief that all nations with a presence on the continent were party to a secret pact to suppress knowledge of an extraterrestrial or non-human presence operating from bases deep beneath the ice sheet. In the modern era, these long-standing rumors have found a new arena for investigation: public access satellite imagery. Platforms like Google Earth have empowered civilian researchers to scrutinize the Antarctic continent with unprecedented detail, leading to a wave of discoveries that appear to corroborate the whistleblowers' claims. Users have identified and catalogued numerous anomalies that defy conventional geological explanation. These include massive, monolithic structures exhibiting unnatural symmetry and what appear to be artificially arranged geometric patterns. Even more provocative are images that many researchers have identified as crashed or parked unidentified flying objects. Numerous coordinates point to disc-shaped formations, some partially buried in remote ice fields, others seemingly nestled in valleys. These objects are characterized by their perfect circular or elliptical shapes, smooth surfaces, and apparent metallic sheen, features inconsistent with natural rock outcroppings. In several widely circulated satellite images, long drag marks are visible in the snow leading up to these objects, suggesting a high-speed landing or crash. Often these alleged craft are located near large crevices or dark openings in the ice, feeding speculation that they are entrances to subterranean bases or hangar systems. Adding to the intrigue is the phenomenon of data censorship on these public platforms. Researchers have documented numerous instances where specific coordinates displaying clear anomalies were later found to be blurred, pixelated, or removed entirely from the satellite imagery database. While these alterations could be attributed to routine data updates or image stitching errors, their selective application to anomalous sites is cited by many as evidence of an intentional, ongoing cover-up. This digital obfuscation is seen as a modern extension of the policy of secrecy that Brian S. experienced firsthand decades earlier. These converging lines of evidence, from eyewitness testimony of military veterans to digital analysis by citizen researchers, paint a picture of Antarctica as a continent of profound secrets. The theories that emerge are wide-ranging. Some propose that the structures are remnants of a lost, pre-glacial civilization, perhaps Atlantis, whose technology is now being studied in secret. Others contend that the continent hosts active bases for extraterrestrial visitors who have a long-standing presence on Earth. The most comprehensive theory suggests a synthesis of both, an ancient legacy and a modern presence, managed in secret by a consortium of global powers. The testimony of Brian S. remains a crucial human element in this vast puzzle. His detailed, unwavering account provides a tactical-level view of what he asserts is a strategic-level reality. The implications are staggering. If true, it would mean that, for over 40 years, world governments have been actively collaborating to conceal direct contact and possibly cooperation with a non-human intelligence operating from a hidden base on Earth. The fundamental question remains: what lies beneath Antarctica's ice that is so world-changing, or potentially so dangerous, that decades of enforced silence have been deemed necessary? While definitive proof remains elusive, the accumulation of anecdotal and visual evidence ensures that Antarctica will continue to be a focal point for those seeking to understand the deepest secrets of our planet. That's for today. Subscribe to know more information like that.